Hi, my name is Cheyne and I would like to make a little video specifically for people who may have been diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome and in particular who may have received a diagnosis of FSGS. Now, I wanted to make this video as an encouragement to people, and I'll explain a little bit more about this as I proceed. So I'm currently 55 years old, coming along to 56, and I've never had anything wrong with me whatsoever physically, apart from colds and flus, you know, nothing major. Then this is, by the way, being filmed in July the 22nd, 2021. And so earlier this year, in February this year, I started to get very, very nasty headaches. And the headaches, I've never had headaches in my whole life, but I started to get very, very nasty headaches that would last for several days and would be just relentless. Now, when that happened, I initially thought, oops, COVID. So I had a PCR test. The PCR test came back negative. But the headaches kept on persisting for another few weeks, so I had a second PCR test that also came back negative. Then shortly afterwards, my eyeballs started to swell. I started to develop excess retinal fluid under the surface skin of my eyeballs, which was very disconcerting, like having great big tears in the white underneath the surface skin of the whites of the eyes, and you really want to kind of blink or wipe them away, and of course it doesn't work that way. Then a little while after that, my wife noticed that my feet were very swollen, and I kind of brushed it off. But then within a few weeks' time, the swelling had spread through my ankles, through my calf muscles and lower legs and into my knees, and then it progressed gradually further and further. I went to see my GP. The GP suggested that I go the very next day to the ambulatory care clinic at the local hospital, which I did. I ended up going there probably 6 or 7 times in the next couple of months. They did all kinds of tests, which was it was good in a certain way, because most of the things they tested for indicated that things were fine. I had ultrasound scans on my kidneys twice, liver, abdomen, the arteries in my legs, and bladder and so on. And everything came back fine. Also on my heart and my lungs as well. I had chest x-ray, I had an ECG, all kinds of things like that, just to test, kind of tick things off the list of possible causes for alarm. And they sent me eventually to a kidney consultant at the local Royal Free Hospital in London, a gentleman called Dr. Wolfson. And sure enough, he confirmed that what I had was called nephrotic syndrome. I'd never heard of nephrotic syndrome before. And sure enough, he was encouraging me very strongly to have a kidney biopsy. Now, for me, I've always been very kind of natural health orientated. So I've been and am a practitioner of Qigong, which is Chinese therapeutic exercise. I have been practicing and studying Qigong for the last 38 years, along with a variety of martial arts as well. And so I've always been pretty well, healthy. And so I wanted to go along a more natural route. He wanted me to have a kidney biopsy. So for me, the thought of having a kidney biopsy and someone sticking a needle in my back and taking a bit of my kidney was not a nice thought. So I was quite reluctant, let's put it mildly. And I thought to myself, and I told the kidney consultant, I want to try alternative methods. So I've gravitated toward the more Eastern approach to health and well-being. So I told the kidney consultant I was going to seek acupuncture and Chinese herbal treatment. And I did this, and to cut a long story short, it wasn't working. The edema got worse, much worse, and so I opted for the kidney biopsy. And, I just wanted to say that the reason I'm making this video is to encourage people to be courageous. If you've been diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome and it's all a bit confusing like it was for me, all very new, then I want to encourage you to not be afraid, to do whatever's necessary so that you can get yourself well. And it challenges a lot of kind of maybe attachments we may have developed mentally to certain ideas about ourselves and what's acceptable and what we're prepared to do and what we're not prepared to do. So I've had to make a lot of changes. So my initial concern about the kidney biopsy, that it was going to really hurt and so on, was completely unfounded. I literally couldn't feel anything because of the anaesthetic. It wasn't painful, having the anaesthetic injected. I just breathed with it, released, relaxed on the out breath, and yeah, I couldn't feel a thing. Just heard a little click when the little device took the bit of kidney. It was successful the first attempt. They didn't have to do a second attempt, which was good. The most challenging thing about that for me afterwards was having to lay down on my back for 6 hours in bed. And then when the anaesthetic started to wear off, it was achy. It was achy, but not unbearable. So I want to encourage you, if you've had, if you're being encouraged to have a kidney biopsy to ascertain what's going on in the kidneys, then absolutely go for it. Don't be afraid, just go for it. You can do it. Then the results came back and I was told I had FSGS, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, it's difficult to say, tip lesion variant. And apparently the tip lesion variant is the most responsive to high potency steroid treatment. So I was told that I was going to be put on a course of very strong steroids. For me, again, the thought of me being on steroids was, oh my God, what the hell? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be on steroids. However, I decided to do it, and with a positive mental attitude, because I want to get well. When I first started to take the steroids, the edema had got so bad that I ended up carrying 14 litres of fluid in the tissue of my body. It felt like my body had been hijacked. It felt like someone had stolen my legs and grafted 2 tree trunks in place of where my legs used to be. So the edema was awful. Yeah, very, very disconcerting. And so I just wanted to get well. So from the very first time I took the steroids, I held them in my hand. I communicated with the cells of my body. I said what I mean about the importance of the mental and emotional attitude. That this is going to make me better. And so when I take this into my body, this is the start of my recovery. This is the start of my healing. And so from the very first time, and every single time I've taken those steroids, that's been my attitude and is my attitude. I was told I need to take them for between 2 to 3 months. I've been taking them every day, 60 milligrams of prednisolone for the last about 2.5 months. And I have a kidney consultant that I'm speaking to in about a week's time, and I'm very much hoping they're going to start to taper me off. I've also been taking furosemide, which is a water tablet to cause the body to pee lots, to get rid of the fluid retention. So what I found with that was you need to experiment with minimum effective dosage. The initial dosage they gave me did absolutely nothing whatsoever, so I gradually upped it and upped it, and what I found to be effective for me is 80 milligrams in the morning. That's 2 tablets of 40, and in order to really take that down further, I was taking the same amount in the afternoon. So 80 in the morning and 80 in the mid to late afternoon. I did experience some strange cramps in my hands, which were quite strong at times, but yeah, it was manageable. Thankfully, I have practically no edema left now. A little bit in the ankles, a little bit in the feet, but obviously that's the lowest part of the body, so gravity pulls the fluid down. So yeah, I'm in a very much better place than I was 5 or 6 weeks ago even. Very different, and it's a process. Now, with regards to if you've been or are taking prednisolone, high dosage, like I say, 60 milligrams a day is what I've been on and am on still now. My wife did a bit of research, and one of the side effects that I've found really debilitating is it's really affected my ability to sleep. So yeah, just some nights not being able to sleep at all, feeling very like trembly, like a vibration taking place all the way through the body. Then my wife did some research, and sure enough, there was a recommendation to take the steroids last thing at night. That I highly recommend. I don't know why people aren't told to take it last thing at night. It's massively helped me because I've been able to sleep, and sleep is so important, and to be going several nights in a row with no sleep because of feeling wired because of the effects of the steroids, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So my recommendation to you from my personal experience is to take the steroids last thing at night, and then at least you'll have an opportunity to sleep. And I would say one of the most important things that I really want to encourage you to do is to create your own story, tell your own story. I made the mistake when I was first diagnosed with this FSGS. I'd never heard of it in my life. That evening I looked on YouTube, watched some videos of people's experience of FSGS, and immediately wished I hadn't. Now, I respect the fact that certain people experience what they experience, and those experiences have been and are very challenging. But it's really important that we create our own story with it. Just because other people's experience is what it is, doesn't mean it has to be the same for us. So having a positive mental and emotional attitude toward our own healing is really super important. So I've been working as a therapist for the last, hypnotherapist particularly, for the last 2 decades, helping people to transform how they communicate toward themselves about themselves. The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves determine our experience and our perceptions of ourselves and the experiences we're having or we are likely to have. So I've had to employ all of the tools that I've studied and practiced, and the understanding I've passed on to the people I've helped over the years, and apply it to myself. But really had to apply it fully, fearlessly, and to its maximum capacity. So this means clearing away the kind of negative chatter, the internal dialogue based on worry or fear, anger, frustration, all of that stuff, because that doesn't help. It just doesn't help. So I would really recommend, there's a website which is called learntdsl.com. TDSL stands for the Dialogue of Self-Liberation. learntdsl.com. This is a website that I've created with a very dear friend of mine, Peter Truman, and it contains courses where we teach a 5-week course in either an audio format via an app on your phone that you can download, or a live program which is more interactive with a small group of people once a week on a Zoom call for 5 weeks at the same time each week. And basically the courses are designed to help people to harness a very clear way of communicating toward themselves. So it's uncluttered, unconditionally open and supportive, rather than based on fear. So I really recommend, do check that out. And when we utilize the creative capacity of our minds in unison with a healing process in the body, and I mean literally speaking to the cells of the body, communicating with the cells of the body, it makes a huge difference. There was a very old Chinese saying, where the mind leads, the chi follows. This is true of everything in life. So if we fixate our mental and emotional energy in a particular way, in a particular direction, then this determines the experiences that we have to a very large degree. So if we can clear away the kind of self-limiting or fear-based internal dialogue to help enhance our body's capacity to heal and rebalance, this is a really useful skill to acquire. So I just wanted to make this little video to encourage you. Have courage. Do whatever's necessary. Make those changes. Take the meds. Have the kidney biopsy. Have a positive mental attitude. Create your own story with this journey, with your own healing. If you have any questions or comments, please do put them in the chat wherever you may find this video, and I will do my very best to respond to them when I can. And yeah, I want to send you all lots of love and wish you well. Create your own story with this. Go for it and heal yourselves. Lots of love to you all.